Let's pray. Dear God, thank you for gathering us, all of us, from many schools, from many institutions to this Zoom meeting, God. Please bless all of us so that this MUN can go well and there's no technicality problems today. And please bless the chairs so they can chair well. Please bless the delegates so they can do their MUN well. Thank you, God. Amen. Okay, so first we're gonna have MUN 101. So, chairs, the stage is yours.
All right. Hello, everyone. Before we begin with the first committee sessions or begin our conference overall, let us introduce ourselves. So my name is Ipeka Sharon. I'm from Universitas Pelita Harapan. I'm a third-year student majoring in international relations, and I've been doing MUN since like 2019. And I'm not alone as the board of directors for this MUN. We are deeply honored also to be here, to be chairing all of you guys. I came here with my fellow chair, Crystal.
Hi everyone, thanks Sharon. Hi everyone, my name is Crystal Manley. You can call me Crystal. I'll be chairing along with Sharon, and we have one more friend, Angela, which is also the board of Dias for today's MUN, but she'll be joining a little bit later. So yeah, nice to meet you, and I hope you all enjoy the committee session and the MUN 101 that me and Sharon are gonna explain to you. Back to you, Sharon.
All right, so before we begin, I'm just curious, how many of you are actually first timers or beginners in this MUN? Can you guys like raise your hand or give some reactions? All right, so we do have quite a few first timers. That would be no problem. Me and Crystal and also Angela, we are happy to assist you guys. So if you guys have any questions in regard to anything for these 2 days, I guess, feel free to message us through our WhatsApp. We are in the group, so you guys can check us out. And also we will begin with the MUN 101. So and we will also have like a committee session 0. So you guys can practice the ROP also. Yeah, so Crystal, can you share the screen?
Yeah, okay.
All right, perfect, thank you. Yeah, so we will now begin with the MUN 101. What is essentially an MUN 101 is like a introduction to like MUN and also to the rules of procedure. Next. Also, you guys can lower your hands for those of you who are still raising your hands. Okay, so in this MUN 101 in particular, we will explain a bit about what is MUN and what is Model United Nations. What is MUN, what they do, what are the main organs, and then we will continue with what is Model UN and how do we conduct MUN in the flow of the sessions, what are the documents in MUN, and what is essentially a backdoor diplomacy. All right, next. So the United Nations is an international intergovernmental institution. It is essentially tasked with the purpose to safeguard international peace and security. Currently, the UN have 163 member states. The main purposes of the UN are upholding international law, protecting human rights, promoting democracy, among many others. So the UN essentially have quite a bit of mandates that you guys can perhaps found in the UN Charter. So everything that the UN does is based on the UN Charter. So if you guys later on will draft your resolution and so on, please make sure that it is in accordance to the UN Charter. Next. So what do they do? What do the United Nations do? The United Nations in general, they provide a platform for member states to express their views towards certain issues. And in this regard, they have 6 main organs of the UN, but 2 of them are General Assembly and the UN Security Council. And there are also other principal organs as well that you guys can perhaps find out about later on. But in this case, the main 2 that are being simulated in MUN is the General Assembly and the Security Council, and also the other like specialized agencies under the GA or the Economic Social Council of the United Nations. So the United Nations essentially provide a dialogue for negotiations and for countries to achieve agreement regarding certain international issues. Next slide, please. The mandates of the United Nations. A few of these are just a few that we deemed important. So first is to maintain international peace and security. Second is to protect human rights. Third is to deliver humanitarian aid. Fourth is to promote sustainable development and also to uphold international law. Next slide, please. Yeah, so these are the main organs of the United Nations. First is the General Assembly. The General Assembly itself has like six councils. And there are the United Nations Security Council that deals with maintaining international peace and security. We have the Economic and Social Council. We have the Trusteeship Council. We have the International Court of Justice, and also the Secretariat of the United Nations. There are actually quite a few specialized agencies, but here are a few. That is first the UNHRC, the WHO, the UNDP, UNHCR, FAO, World Bank, and also like UNICEF, also the councils that are being simulated for these next 2 days. Next slide, please. So what is essentially the Model United Nations? Next slide. So Model United Nations is a simulation of a real UN conferences. So the rules and procedures of MUN are actually based on the actual procedures of a UN meeting. So you guys can learn about certain issues, and then you guys are representing a country. So hereby, you are not representing yourself as an individual, but you are representing a country. So everything that you talk about, everything that you will discuss will be based on your country's perspective. Next slide, please. What is the purpose of a Model United Nations? So Model United Nations is an academic simulation. Basically, you guys can train your skills, you guys can gain more knowledge, and also it is very important, I would say, for your character development. You guys can learn about leadership here. You guys can learn how to negotiate, how to even represent a country, and how to basically act as a diplomat. So that is pretty much the purpose of the Model United Nations. And the objective, the general objective, is to produce a draft resolution to respond to certain issues or topics. And in this MUN, we are going to talk about the issue of child marriage. Next.
Okay, so I think Sharon has given us a bit of an introduction of what Model United Nations and what the United Nations is. And now I'm gonna be talking about the role of procedures and the flow of the session of the MUN itself. So firstly, in Model United Nations, there are a few important terms that we need to know. Firstly, the working language that we're going to be using throughout the whole session and in this MUN is formal English. So you'll be using the formal use of English during the committee sessions, but after the committee sessions, when the meetings are adjourned or dismissed, so when you're having break or you were having like backdoor diplomacy outside of the council, the committee session, you can use any language afterwards. But during the council, it's still using formal English. So keep in mind for that. And then the dress code itself is actually supposed to be formal attire. I see here everyone has followed the dress code. So usually blazer and the inside is like anything. So basically to be formal, like you're presenting yourselves in a regular United Nations conference. And I think Sharon has touched on the types of councils, but here there's an additional one. So usually in Model United Nations, we have the General Assembly itself, the UNGA, or we like to call it, and the specialized agencies, as Sharon has explained. But we also have two more additional councils, which are crisis and press. Usually crisis is you can say, I like to say the most difficult kind of council. So it's the most advanced kind of council, but it's also the most fun in my own opinion, because it's usually discussing the things that happen or are discussed in the Security Council itself. So it's usually those kinds of issues. For press itself, it's more like a press release. So you're going to be interviewing the countries in the council, or you're going to be like a journalist. So that's basically what press council is. And the roles in the MUN itself, there are three. We have the committee, which is your respective committee here. Wonderful committee, by the way. Ipeka, Moon, great job. And we have delegates, which are you guys, the ones representing the countries. And we have BOD, which stands for Board of Dias, which are basically your chairs in the MUN itself, which is me, Sharon, and Angela. Okay, and we also have Code of Ethics and MUN, which is to respect each other, and you have to come prepared to the council. So you have to have all your research prepared for the council, so you can be ready to perform your best performance. And you also have to be responsible for that research. So no plagiarism in all your documents, because we're going to check them out one by one, and you have to speak out facts. Don't speak out like things that you made up in your head, but it has to be like backed up with the appropriate facts or substance. And then next, we're going to talk about the flow of the session. So this is also quite important for you guys to know. So the first flow of the session is basically your position paper, which you guys have submitted yesterday night. So, well, that's done. So good job, guys. And then the next session that we'll have is basically the roll call. So what is the roll call? So the roll call is basically when we call out your country's names. You're going to be saying whether you are present or present and voting. So what is the difference? If you are present, that means during the voting procedure, you don't have to vote yes or no. So you can actually abstain. So there are three voting procedures that you can do. So it's yes, no, or abstain, or like you don't vote. Basically, abstain means you don't vote. Yes and no, basically, yeah, you agree or you disagree with the draft resolution that is presented later. So if you're present, you can abstain. But if you're present and voting, you have to either say yes or no, or agree or disagree, or basically those two choices. And then after the roll call comes the general speakers list first. So I put it around here because we're going to be using the general speakers list to around the sessions. So it can happen suddenly if there are no more motions, or when we start a new committee session, there's always going to be a general speakers list. So a general speakers list is basically what you guys have been explained during the technical meeting also. So it's the speech that you're going to do to perform to explain your stance And you can actually touch upon your solutions inside the general speakers list, but like really brief, because sometimes other delegates might steal your ideas. So don't make it uh, too obvious. So that's a hint for your general speakers list later. And then after the general speakers list, you can motion to open the debate. So there are a few motion and points which we will discuss later on. But basically, a motion to open the debate means that you're going to start the debate for the session, the current session that you're opening right now. And there are a few motions that you can speak out later after you open the debate, which we will touch upon later. And then you have moderated caucuses and we have unmoderated caucuses. And I'll be explaining that later. And then after these, we're going to be drafting your documents and we're going to go into the voting procedure. So your documents will include a working paper and a draft resolution. A working paper is actually optional. You can do it in blocks or individual, but usually it's better to do it in blocks because an individual working paper might not be recognized by the chair. But if you don't have a block and you want to submit it, it's totally fine. But again, it's better to work in blocks. And for draft resolution, you have to be in a block or it will not be recognized. And this is what we'll be voting upon. So the final DR is the actual document that we should be voting upon, because the purpose of a model UN is basically to have a good resolution to be implemented. So basically, this is how you point out, you raise a motion in Model United Nations. So you're going to say, the delegate of blah, 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 your country would like to raise a moderated caucus for blah, blah, blah total minutes with blah, blah, blah time for individual minutes of each speaking time about the topic that you're going to say. You guys can screenshot this so you can put it in your speech when you're making a motion. So basically, a motion for a moderated caucus is to let the other delegates have a specific speaking time with a certain topic. While an unmoderated caucus, like the bottom one, is you can speak about anything and anybody can speak up. You don't have to raise your hand. For this moderated caucus, this one, you guys have to raise your hand to be chosen to speak in the list, which the chair will call out one by one. So that's how you raise a motion. And I'll give you guys an example. So for example, I'm the delegate of USA, right? So the delegate of USA would like to raise a moderated caucus for a total of 10 minutes speaking, 10 minutes with 1 minute of each speaking time about, for example, the issue of the issue of gender inequality in child marriage. So it's something like that. So your topic should be kind of detailed. So the discussion will be quite substantive. So that's how you do it. So 10 minutes with 1 minute each speaking time. That means you have 10 delegates later. So the chair will choose 10 delegates to speak for the topic. So, and for the unmoderated caucus, you can choose any minutes. Usually the maximum amount of speaking of unmoderated caucus is like 20 to 25 minutes, but it varies depending on the time that we'll have for the committee session later. And then next we have points. So if you're in debate, I think you know points like POI or something like that. So it's basically like if in class you want to raise your hand and you want to say like, sorry, sir, sorry, miss, something like that. So in Model United Nations, points is basically like that. So there are 3 types of points. We have points of order, points of personal privilege, and points of parliamentary inquiry. Points of order itself is if you hear the chair or the BOD saying something wrong with the order of speaking. For example, you're supposed to be speaking next, but another delegate instead is called upon before you. So you can actually say like, points of order, chair, this delegate should have gone first before me, like for example, like that. Or I'm supposed to go before this delegate, why am I not called? So you can actually point that out. Or you can say, points, chair, isn't the ROP supposed to be something else? So if the chair says a wrong role of procedure, you can actually point that out as well. And then points of personal privilege is usually if you feel uncomfortable, like for example, you have a headache or the room is too cold and you have to do something like that, you can actually point it out to the chair. It is usually for offline MUN. Actually, for online, maybe you can actually contact the committee or put it in the chat for the chair that's moderating, so it's not like cutting off any of your fellow delegates speeches, because I've never seen points of personal privilege in online MUN, to be honest. So, and then the last one is points of parliamentary inquiry, is if you have a question about the rule of procedure during the committee session. So if you're confused with anything of the procedure, you can ask points of parliamentary inquiry so the chairs can confirm that question. So I hope that's understandable. And then you have yielding. So usually the general speakers list is around 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes, depending on how much time you want. And there's 3 types. And if you have like some time to spare in the general speakers list, yeah, not the motions or the moderate caucus, so only the general speakers list, you have like leftover time. That means you have to yield that time. How do you yield that time? You can yield it to the chair. That means that the time is, yeah, it's gone. The remaining time is like gone. You can't use it again, or yeah, it's back to the chair. And then you can yield, or you can yield it to another delegate. You have to mention the delegate's name. Yielding to another delegate means they have additional time for their speech. So for example, if you have a remaining of 30 seconds, you want to yield it to another delegate with the general speaking time being 1.5 minutes. That means they have 2 minutes of speaking time, like that. And then the third one is yield to question. So you can ask other delegates to ask you questions, and then you can answer that question with the remaining time that you have. But keep in mind that the yielding time is supposed to be like more than 10 seconds. So if it's already like 10 seconds or under, you can't yield it to delegates or question. And then next we have caucuses. I think I touched on about this a little bit. So moderated caucuses is the debate form where the speakers list will be given after you guys raise your hands, and one by one the chairs will call upon you. Maybe we can just we can apply it right away later in committee session 1, so you actually get the gist of it. For unmoderated caucus, it's basically, yeah, you follow the rules of procedure, but you can talk freely. Like you don't have to be cut off. You can cut off anyone. So basically, you don't have to raise your hands. You can just talk like usually, but still in formal English, yeah, because sometimes delegates get out of hand when in unmoderated caucuses. And a COTW, that's basically an unmoderated caucus, but you have to raise your hands. So there's no specific topic, but you have to raise your hands to be chosen by the delegate speaking at that moment, or the chair if nobody chooses. So COTW stands for consultation of the whole. So it's basically like an unmoderated caucus, but you have to raise your hand. For unmoderated caucus, you don't have to raise your hands. Okay, now we're going to go into backdoor diplomacy. Actually, what is backdoor diplomacy? So backdoor diplomacy is the negotiation process that happens outside of the councils, but it usually happens during the committee session. So basically, if you want to negotiate with other delegates, you can do that during the committee session, but not formally. So you don't have to speak in public, but you can go to personal people to talk about it. You can actually do it in an online one. You can do it in breakout rooms, which we will open, or you can do it through Discord, or you want to do it through WA or Line. Anything is possible. It's still called backdoor diplomacy if it's it's not in the council. You don't talk in front of public to speak out your opinions. Usually in the Security Council, it's happened where it's used in double delegates, but single delegates is also possible. So you just talk with people personally in the MUN. So what do you do here? So basically, you have to negotiate your terms with the other country, and you have to influence them to agree with your terms, or you guys have common ground. So you have to influence them on that topic. And lastly, you have to discuss. So you're going to discuss thoroughly, just the basic discussion, and reaching to a common interest for later to presume the discussion in the council. So that's basically the goal for backdoor diplomacy. So you can basically discuss, oh, can we just talk about this later, like this topic, and you guys like, oh yeah, okay, let's talk about this topic later. So that's also like backdoor diplomacy. And you can also do the backdoor when you're doing block forming. You can make a WIOG group, or you can make a Discord group, whatever you want. So that's the use of backdoor diplomacy. Okay, Sharon.
All right, thank you so much. What a wonderful explanation from Crystal. But before I move on to the documents in MUN, I would like to remind you guys that if you guys are establishing your own like WhatsApp groups or something like that for your backdoor diplomacy, please do invite the chairs, me, Crystal, and also Angela, so we can see what's going on and so on and so forth. So yeah, please do invite us in all of your platforms, whether it is like Discord or WhatsApp group or a line group or something. So yeah, that is just a disclaimer for you guys. All right, so moving on, I will be explaining about the documents in MUN. There are 4 types of documents in general. The first is the study guide, second position paper, third working paper, and also last but not least, draft resolution. The study guide, yeah, okay, thank you. The study guide is a guide or a research paper, I guess, that is based on your committee, consisting of the introduction of the committee, the introduction to the topic, the issues, the problem discussions, past actions, block positions, and also the karmas, or question a resolution must answer. So basically, study guide is a paper that is provided by the chairs to give you guys a common ground before the conference on the topic, on the general understanding of the topic. But a study guide is not really a it has to be also accompanied by your own research regarding your country's policy and your further research on the issue. So I wouldn't say that you guys can rely 100% on the study guide, but a study guide is a great place for you guys to start your research. And what is a karma, you might ask? Karma is questions a resolution must answer. So it is on the last page of your study guide. It is basically questions that could guide you guys or inspire you guys upon like certain subtopics that you guys can discuss upon on the conference. And also all draft resolution must implicitly answer the karmas. So please make sure that later on you guys are discussing the karmas that we have provided in the study guide also. All right, next. Yeah, so next is the position paper. A position paper is basically a document that you guys have submitted pre-conference that is first to give the chairs some understanding about your country's position, and also to give you guys some understanding or to encourage you guys to do some research on your country's policies, and also to trigger you guys so that you guys can also draft your solutions or establish your own like frameworks and so on and so forth that you guys would like to bring in the council on the day. Generally, a position paper consists of 3 or 4 paragraphs, depends on your writing styles, I guess. The first paragraph is about the country stance and also the background of the topic, but in the POV of your country. And then the second paragraph is like the past actions. It can be both international past actions or national past actions. And the last paragraph is basically the proposed solutions from you guys. A disclaimer that is, you cannot write anything that is already included in the study guide, because the chairs already know about those informations, because the chairs actually wrote the study guides. So please, maybe for next time, provide like the additional information or additional elaborations on your country's stance on the issue specifically. Next slide, please. Yeah, so next is the working paper. A working paper is an informal document, actually. So the point is to keep track of the council discussion, is to list all of the proposed solutions, and also to understand how the council progresses. It can be in any form, PDF documents, even PowerPoints, and so on and so forth. But to make it easier for you guys to draft your resolution later on, I recommend you guys to follow just the draft resolution format, or be as close as you can to a draft resolution, so that you guys can just like copy and paste it later on when drafting your resolution. That's basically the main point of like a working paper, so you guys can draft the resolution quicker and easier later on. But yeah, so it is an informal document, so you guys can do whatever you want basically with this document. But just a quick disclaimer: do not write anything that hasn't been discussed in the council. So for example, if you would like to propose certain things, please don't write it in the working paper if you haven't discussed it in the council. But if you have, then feel free to do so. Yep. All right, next slide. Okay. This is perhaps the most important document in MUN. It's basically the ultimate document in MUN. It's basically the main purpose of a MUN, that is to draft a resolution. So how to draft a resolution? The draft resolution basically consists of like three main sections. First is, of course, the header, and then there is the operative clauses. Wait, okay. First is the header, and then second is the preambulatory clauses, and then the operative clauses. But the header consists of certain things. Next slide, please.
Hold up, Sharon. I think we're having technical difficulties.
All right, no problem. Yeah, so while we wait on that, the header of a draft resolution consists of your council, and also the topic of the council, so the topic agenda, and also the sponsors and signatories. Oh, I haven't mentioned this before, but in the working paper, you don't need to include any sponsor. Yep, perfect. All right. So here is a look on a draft resolution. So what I meant by the header is the United Nations Development Program, draft resolution, the date, the agenda item, and the sponsors, and also signatories. So what is basically a sponsor and what is a signatory? A sponsor is those countries that lead the draft resolution process, draft resolution writing process, or basically, to put it simply, they are the leader of the gang, you know. And the signatories are those who agrees that these resolutions should be discussed upon in the council. But you don't really need to agree on anything, but you agree to basically just put this draft resolution to be discussed in the council, but you don't really have to say yes later on to the draft resolution if it is not in accordance to your wants or needs, I guess. But if you are a sponsor, you cannot really be a signatory on the other draft resolution if we ended up having more than one draft resolution. Basically, if you are a sponsor, you guys are the main proposals of of this draft resolution. So basically, you automatically you have to, vote in favor of this draft resolution since you guys are the main proposals, the main writers of this draft resolution. But if you are a signatory in only in a certain draft resolution, you can actually be a signatory in more than one draft resolution. So that is the main differences between sponsors and signatories. If you are a sponsor, then you cannot really be a signatory in other, or even sponsor other draft resolution. But if you are only a signatory, you guys can be a signatory in more than one draft resolution. And then we have the preambulatory clauses, or the preamble for short. It is basically the ones that are, it is basically the foundation of your whole operative clauses. You can recall on certain past actions. You guys can state your concerns in this, and you guys can point out the issues that are present in this matter. So for example, this draft resolution is guided by the charters of the United Nations to promote social progress and better standards of life, blah, blah, blah. And this draft resolution is deeply concerned of the continuously rising global temperature, and so on and so forth. So basically a preamble is followed by a verb in, if that is easier for you guys to understand. Yeah, so format wise, the preamble is ended, each sentence of the preamble is ended with a comma instead of a period, because in the whole draft resolution, actually you guys cannot really add any full stops. If you guys are if there is a full stop in the middle of the draft resolution, that means the draft resolution actually ends there. So please be careful with the commas, semicolons, and also the full stops. Can you slide it to the next page? Perfect, thank you. So next we have the operative clauses. The operative clauses is actually it's actually your solutions, but it has to be formatted in a certain way so that it is easier for countries to understand what are the policies that you want to be implemented. So for example, here we have recommends, disaster risk reduction, blah, blah, blah. And we have also the mechanism of how do we do this certain framework. So the operative clauses has to be accompanied or completed with a certain mechanisms and details about that. So please later on, if you guys are drafting your resolution, please make sure that you are actually providing mechanisms so that countries can implement them accordingly. If not, then languages can be taken so vaguely, and the implementation will not be in accordance to what it is actually envisioned for. So in the operative clauses, we are using semicolons. We are using semicolons to end our sentences. So the main differences between operative clauses and preamble is that the preamble uses comma, and then in the operative clauses, we are using semicolons. Also, we are using simple present tense. So for example, provides, call upon, invites, suggests, recommends, condemns, and so on and so forth. And every draft resolution will be ended with a full stop. That is on the last, oh, we don't have the last operative clauses in here, but yeah, that is fine. Yeah, so if you guys are ending your draft resolution, please make sure that you have the full stop in the end, in the last number of the operative clauses. So that's basically it. Next slide, please. Here's like the main differences, I guess, between preamble and also operative clauses. So the preamble is to address the outcome of this discussion, the vision, and also the main foundation of the draft resolution. And the operative clauses is the action that should be taken by the member states, the mission, and also the solutions. So it is your main solution is in the operative clauses. Here are a few examples of preambulatory phrases and also operative clauses. Maybe you guys can screenshot this. That'd be fine as well. Or yeah, I will give you guys like a few seconds to screenshot this. There are other clauses as well, but these are the most common ones that we might be using later on. All right, next slide, please. So yeah, that ends our MUN 101. If you guys have any question, feel free to ask. You guys can maybe raise your hand, or you guys can message us in the chat if you have any question. No questions? No questions? 5? Yes, the delegate of the USA.
Mr. Chair, we want to ask about the operative clauses in our previous MUNs. Usually it starts with underline. However, in your example, it starts with an italic. So we want to clarify which one is correct, Chair. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for your question. Actually, that is a personal preference, so you guys can use whatever you want, whether it is to use underline or italic. It's basically, it has the same essence. So yeah, just make sure that you guys are, highlighting the operative clause and also the preambulatory clauses, whether it is by using underline or italic. So yeah, that is up to you.
Okay, thank you, Chair.
Yep, no problem. Any other questions? No? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, I would like to
perfect
ask,
then.
sorry, Chair.
Yes,
will-
sure.
Will be the working paper submitted? Do we have to submit working paper?
Crystal?
It's actually not optional, but I think the chairs will see throughout the discussion in the committee session later if a working paper is possible. But the main document should be your draft resolution because you guys are going to vote upon it later. Sharon, anything to add?
Yeah, I guess Crystal have covered well, so that's basically it. We will see later on if a working paper is needed or not, but we will announce it later on in the following committee sessions.
Okay, thank you, chairs.
All right, no problem. Any other question? Yes, delegate.
Hi. When will the draft resolutions be submitted?
Okay, a draft resolution or a working paper. will be submitted in the later council. So possibly tomorrow, but don't worry, we will obviously announce it in the prior committee session. So we will announce it later on. But
Okay, thank you,
yeah.
Cheers.
All right. To give you guys a time frame, the draft resolution will be discussed on the maybe on the last committee session. Yes, Delegate of Denmark.
Yes, Chair. I have a question. Are there any documents that involves block forming or teamwork?
All right. So the basic documents that involve teamwork is the draft resolution and perhaps also the working paper. But yeah, so a draft resolution to be recognized, a draft resolution must have a certain amount of signatories, basically. Perhaps 1/5 or 1/8 of the whole number of delegates, but we will obviously announce it later on in the later committee session. So yeah, but there is a certain amount of minimum signatories for
Okay.
a draft resolution to be recognized. Anything to add, Crystal?
No, it's all good. We're gonna announce it later in before you guys have to submit it, so it's okay. Relax.
Yeah. You guys don't need to worry about like working paper or draft resolution, at least for the first few committee sessions, but we will announce it later on if we have further announcements regarding those two documents. Any other question? No? Okay. I see the delegate of Austria.
I have a question. So the main agenda for today is that we are going to hear announcements regarding the position regarding the working paper and the draft resolution, and the submission will be tomorrow, or are we just going to continue the agenda just like discussed?
Okay, so to clarify, are you asking about the agenda for today? That is correct?
Yes, that's correct.
All right. So the main agenda for today is the basically trigger your discussions to later on, so that you guys later on can write some solutions in the draft resolution. So basically, to draft a resolution it must go through certain processes. For example, you guys have to discuss whatever it is that you are going to write in the council. So you guys cannot write anything that hasn't been discussed in the council and right now in this Zoom meeting. Yeah, so anything to add, Crystal?
No, I think that's it. Just for today's agenda, it's mostly just to introduce yourselves with the topic, right? To like get a gist of what MUN really feels like. So just be active in your discussion so we can see how the council is progressing to conclude what will happen tomorrow. So basically, that's it.
Yeah. So maybe you guys can today discuss upon the root causes of the topic, or if any certain definition or limitation on the discussion is needed, and what are your main concerns, your country's stances, country's policy, and so on and so forth. So later on, be continued with discussions on your solutions. Any other questions? No? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. Since there will be no question, I guess we'll now move on to the committee session 0. That is, we will be simulating what will happen in the actual committee session, but the committee session 0 will not be graded. It will just be a simulation for you guys to understand further about the ROP and also to have fun. Yeah, just for fun. This is just for fun. So we will not be discussing about child marriage or any other serious issues, but we will be discussing about a debatable topic, I guess. That is about, what is it about, Crystal?
Marvel versus DC. Ugh.
Yeah, so we'll be discussing about Marvel versus DC. You guys can, you guys will still be representing your country. So please refer yourself as this delegate or we or your country. Please don't refer yourself to I, me, or any certain personal pronouns as such. Yeah, we will be using your country, but you guys can freely talk about whatever it is that you want. We'll just be simulating the ROPs. So please make sure to pay attention to the committee session 0, and also please use this time to familiarize yourself with the ROP. All right, hereby I will declare the committee session 0 to be started. As usual, we will now proceed with the roll call. If your country is being called, please state whether you are present or present and voting. If you are present, you guys can later on abstain in your substantial voting. However, please remember that all procedural voting must be voted upon on the basis of yes or no by every delegate, even if they are only present. So yeah, please state whether you are present and voting. Present or present and voting. Delegate of Afghanistan.
The delegate of Afghanistan is present and voting.
All right, thank you, delegate. Delegate of Albania.
The delegate of Albania is present and voting.
Thank you, delegate. The delegate of Austria.
The delegate of Austria is present and voting.
All right, thank you, delegate. Bangladesh.
The delegate of Bangladesh is present.
Thank you, delegate. Central African Republic.
The delegate of Central African Republic is present and voting.
All right, thank you, delegate. The delegate of Chad.
The delegate of Chad is present.
Thank you, delegate. The delegate of China.
The delegate of China is present and voting.
All right, thank you, delegate. Next is the delegate of Colombia.
The delegate of Colombia is present and voting.
Thank you, delegate. Delegate of Denmark.
The delegate of Denmark is present and voting.
Thank you, delegate. Next is Dominican Republic.
The delegate of Dominican Republic is present.
Thank you, delegate. Delegate of Ecuador.
The delegate of Ecuador is present and voting.
All right, thank you, delegate. Delegate of Ethiopia.
The delegate of Ethiopia is present.
Thank you, delegate. Next is Germany.
The delegate of Germany is present and voting.
Thank you. Delegate of Guinea.
The delegate of Guinea is present and voting.
All right, thank you, delegate. Next is delegate of India.
The delegate of India is present and voting. Thank you, Chair.
Indonesia.
The delegate of Indonesia is present and voting.
All right, thank you, delegate. Delegate of Iraq.
The delegate of Iraq is present and voting.
Thank you, delegate. Delegate of Israel.
The delegate of Israel is present and voting.
Thank you, delegate. Delegate of Italy.
Delegate of Italy is present and voting.
All right, thank you, delegate. The delegate of Mali.
The delegate of Mali is present and voting.
Thank you, delegate. Delegate of Mozambique.
The delegate of Mozambique is present and voting.
Thank you, delegate. The delegate of Nepal.
The delegate of Nepal is present and voting.
Thank you, delegate. New Zealand.
The delegate of New Zealand is present and voting.
Thank you, delegate. Niger.
The delegate of Niger is present and voting.
Thank you, Delegate. Nigeria.
The delegate of Nigeria is present.
Thank you, Delegate. The Delegate of Norway.
The delegate of Norway is present and voting.
Thank you, Delegate. Delegate of Pakistan.
Thank you, Chair. Delegate of Pakistan is present and voting.
Thank you, Delegate. Delegate of Philippines.
Delegate of Philippines is present and voting.
Thank you, Delegate. The Delegate of Romania.
The delegate of Romania is present.
All right, thank you. Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia. All right, the delegate of Saudi Arabia is not present. Delegate of Somalia.
The delegate of Somalia is present.
Thank you, Delegate. Delegate of South Sudan.
The delegate of South Sudan is present and voting.
All right, thank you, Delegate. Delegate of Spain.
The delegate of Spain is present.
Thank you, Delegate. Delegate of Switzerland.
The delegate of Switzerland is present and voting.
Thank you, Delegate. Delegate of Thailand.
The delegate of Thailand is present and voting.
Thank you. Delegate of Uganda.
Delegate of Uganda is present.
Thank you, Delegate. United Kingdom.
The delegate of the United Kingdom is present and voting.
Thank you, Delegate. Next is the United States.
The delegate of United States is present and voting. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Delegate. Last but not least, Delegate of Vietnam. Delegate of Vietnam. Delegate of Vietnam is not present. Thank you. We will now be looking at the threshold. Yeah, so with a total of 36 delegates in committee, 37 of which are present and have voting rights, to pass a procedural voting, that is, we will be using the simple majority, so 50 plus 1, that will be set at 19. So in order to pass a certain motion or motions basically, you guys it is required 19 votes of yeses. And to pass a draft resolution, we will be using the 2/3 majority, so it will be set at 25. All right, then we will now be, we can now move on to the general speakers list. For those of you who would like to be added to the general speakers list, please raise your hand. We will be using the default time that is 90 seconds. It's okay to raise your hand, delegates. Please don't be afraid. All right, delegate of India. Next is Pakistan. Okay. And then we have Pakistan and then Afghanistan. Any other delegates who would like to be added to the general speakers list? Please raise your hand. Yes, we are doing about Marvel versus DC. So we will be giving speech about Marvel and DC. All right, Norway. We have Thailand, Guinea, and Denmark. All right, that will be all for now. Oh, okay. I will now recognize also UK, and then that will be all for now. Have you added UK, Crystal? All right, perfect, thank you. All right, so the first speaker of the general speakers list will be the delegate of India. The delegate of India, your time begins now.
Thank you, Chair. The conflict and drama between Marvel and DC has been surging recently, and in this council, we must discuss further on how to solve this question. The question on whether Marvel or DC is better is a very difficult question, and the delegate of India believes that this question must be resolved with further discussion on this topic. This topic, as for our first agenda, we must further discuss on the conflict between Marvel and DC to start this council. In India, the conflict between Marvel and DC is very small, as in India, most people are busy dealing with COVID-19 and child marriage, which is why we believe that we must further elaborate on this topic on a larger scale, as some countries do not have a good outline on what this topic is similar to like. That is why we urge all member states to further discuss on this topic. Thank you, Chair.
All right, how would you like to yield your time, delegate?
This delegate would like to yield their time to question and answers.
All right, so delegate of India is open to any questions. If you guys would like to ask question, please feel free to raise your hand. Okay, delegate of Chini.
What is India's stance on this? Like, what is India's stance between which is better, Marvel or DC?
Thank you, Delegate of Guinea. India does not have a clear stance on which is better between the two, which is why we would like to further discuss it in the council so that India could get a better idea on which one is better. Thank you, Delegate of Guinea.
All right. Any other questions? We still have 16 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, since there is no other questions, the remaining time will be automatically go back to the chairs. Thank you, Delegate of India. All right, next to speak is the Delegate of Pakistan. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. The long conflict between which of DC and Marvel is better has long been going. But in this council, the Republic of Pakistan, as India said, urges the discussion of which one is better, whether it was DC or Marvel. The Republic of India has a neutral stance in this, as we have not gotten adequate info on which to choose or which one is better. We would like to be able to get each delegate's perspective, and on this, we would like to get each delegate's perspective and each delegate's respective reasoning on which one is better, so that India can finally come up with a stance regarding this topic. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. How would you like to yield your time?
Thank you, Chair. I would like to yield my time to questions and answers.
All right, thank you, Delegate. Yes, Delegate of India.
Does the Delegate of Pakistan believe that the Adventures Endgame movie, as a success or a failure? As the Delegate of India believes that the movie was absolutely horrible. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Delegate of India. As the Delegate of Pakistan said before, we believe stand a neutral stance in this topic, and we would like to hear other delegates' opinion on this movie before making an opinion on which one or which movie is better. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Delegate. Any questions? Any other questions for the Delegate of Pakistan? Yes, Delegate of India, would you like to follow up?
Delegate of Pakistan, why does the Delegate of Pakistan choose to have a neutral standpoint?
Thank you, the Delegate of India. The Delegate of Pakistan wants and chooses to be in a neutral stance because we believe that hearing other people's opinion, perspective, and other delegates' perspective on this matter will bring more insight on which stance to choose. Thank you very much, Chair and Delegate.
All right, thank you, Delegate. The remaining time will be automatically go back to the chair. Next to speak is the Delegate of Afghanistan. However, yes, Delegate.
No, Sharon. I think Afghanistan has a connection problem, but I don't know. Are they back yet?
All right. If Afghanistan has connection problem, we will move on to the next speaker and move Afghanistan to the last. All right, perfect. So next to speak is the delegate of Norway. The floor is yours. Delegate of Norway.
Yeah, sorry. Okay. From Iron Man versus Batman, Superman versus Captain America, and etc., DC and Marvel is a rivalry that has been going on for a few decades. Norway is a country that is recognized by the Marvel Comics and Marvel Cinematic Universe because of Norse mythology, with heroes such as Thor and Odin, to villains such as Loki. Therefore, Norway sides with Marvel since they have a long-going connection to Thor, a staple hero in the Marvel Comics and Cinematic Universe. Thank you.
Thank you, delegate. How would you like to yield your time?
Questions?
All right, thank you. If any of the other delegates have any question to the delegate of Norway, please raise your hand. No questions? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. Since there's no questions, the time will be automatically go back to the chair. Thank you, delegate. Next to speak is the delegate of Thailand.
We Thailand stand neutrally because on the topic regarding Marvel and DC, due to the fact that we do not have, in fact, enough resources nor knowledge to conduct any polls within our very own nation, and the fact that we also need opinion from the rest of this committee. Done.
All right, how would you like to yield your time, delegate?
Questions.
All right, seems like everyone wants to yield for questions. Okay, delegate of Uni.
Thailand has always been a pretty big city and has a lot of buildings, monuments, statues, and all that. How come you have no money to hold a pool, but how come Thailand has enough money to build a lot of buildings that have little to no use?
We would like to spend our budget somewhere else and conducting a poll. Next question, if you want.
Okay, we still have 50 seconds. Any more questions for the delegate of Thailand? Yes, Norway.
It is said that Marvel movie Miss Marvel will be shooting in Thailand. Don't you feel a certain connection with the Marvel Cinematic Universe since they have chosen your country to shoot one of their biggest hype movies, Miss Marvel, a staple hero in the Marvel comics too?
Though they have chosen us, we do not feel any connection, and to my knowledge, they had not cooperated with us before. Next question.
All right, delegate of Switzerland.
Does the delegate of Thailand believe this debate to be unimportant in any sort of way?
To a certain extent, why would Thailand care about a poll regarding DC? But yeah, we would like to improve our. I mean, we would like to focus on topics other than this one.
All right, delegate of Pakistan.
Thank you. Would you be able to specify on what is topic other than this one?
I didn't get that clearly. Yes.
Would you want to specify on what are the topics other than this one?
For example, maybe improving our system in child marriage. I mean the topic of child marriage and most likely sending aid to our poor. Next question, please.
All right, delegate of India.
Delegate of Pakistan. The delegate of Thailand. The delegate of Thailand. Just for clarification, could you please explain why the strongest man in the world, Superman, is scared of green rocks?
How is that question relevant? But we do not have a knowledge currently.
All right, thank you, delegate of Thailand. Your time is now elapsed. All right, for further clarification, this committee session 0 is not actually the actual conference, so we will not be discussing Marvel versus DC for 2 days, but it is actually just for you guys to, warm up to the ROP of Model United Nations. So we were just giving you guys a simple, easy, and also fun topic. All right, thank you, delegate. Next to speak is the delegate of Guinea. You may have the floor.
There has always been conflict between DC and Marvel with villains, heroes, and side characters. Guinea does not have a stance on this, but on which is better, Marvel or DC. The reason for this is because some people in Guinea do not have much access to such entertainment. Not to mention, many kids have thrown away their childhoods by getting married and have no time to watch either Marvel or DC. So Guinea has a stance on this.
All right,
That's it. I would like to yield to questions and answers.
Thank you, delegate. Delegate of Thailand.
Wait. What do you mean by no time to watch DC movies? I'm pretty sure not all children are focused on, child marriage.
I am pretty sure Guinea is a poor country, therefore they don't have most people there do not have access to television or phones or like really advanced technology like we do, such as iPhones and Samsungs. That way they cannot watch movies.
What do you mean think? Wait, sorry.
Well, not think. I am sure not much people in Guinea have access to the internet.
Oh, I see. Okay.
All right, what a very realistic argument from the delegate of Guinea. Switzerland.
The delegate of Switzerland would like to ask the delegate of Guinea why the delegate of Guinea would refer to their country as poor and what the delegate of Guinea has done to solve this issue.
Poverty has always been a big issue in the world. We have tried to stop it in many ways by giving out jobs to young people. And poverty is also caused sometimes by children being forced to get married. And child labor has always also been an issue. And yeah, other stuff.
All right, India.
Could the delegate of Guinea please explain their stance on the controversial yet popular song Super Idol Taskarong Domini Tetian Pai Cheng Tiang Kwang? Can the delegate of Guinea please explain further?
That's how who stands on this. Guinea has no stance on us in the song Super Idol.
All right, thank you, delegate. Your time has elapsed. I'm sorry for all of the other delegates who don't get the time to ask questions to delegate of Guinea. I'm not sure what just happened, but okay. Yeah, we will now move on to the next speaker. That is the delegate of Denmark. You may have the floor.
Okay, firstly, I want to express my gratitude. Thank you for letting me speak up. The debate between which is better, MCU or DC Comics, has been a remarkable topic in the film industry. The debate has been going on for decades since one of the first films were ever made. Both industries have iconic marks in the film industry, but Denmark is able to say that the MCU has much more of an edge than DC Comics because of certain significant reasons. It has more characters to work with when it comes to movies, and they have much more variative storylines. The MCU has also unexpectedly released some of the world's most famous fictional movies, such as Doctor Strange, Guardians of the Galaxy, and the Thor movie series. Denmark has also been featured several times, such as the Hydra occupation backstory in the World War II.
All right, thank you, Delegate. How would you like to yield your time?
I would like to yield my time to questions.
All right. Any question? Yes, Delegate of India.
The delegate of India would like to ask the delegate, what if the MCU is so strong, why did they lose to one purple man?
Thanos seemingly had the Infinity Stones. That's why he won, and I don't think that's for me to answer.
All right, Delegate of Norway.
In the MCU movies, Denmark was used as a Hydra operative base. As we all know, Hydra is the bad guys in the MCU movie. What are your thoughts about this?
My thoughts are that even though Hydra is the bad guys, we are proud that we are able to be featured in one of the leading countries on the Hydra occupation.
All right, Switzerland.
The delegate of Switzerland would like to ask the delegate of Denmark what their thoughts are on Batman.
Batman is just like Iron Man. They have very cool technology, but they do not have any superpowers. That is why Batman is, can I talk in formal language, is a little lame and not very superior.
All right, thank you, Delegate. Now we will now open for motions. Before that, please can any one of you raise the motion to open the debate? We will now be receiving that motion only. Delegate of Genie. Oh wait, Delegate of Genie just lowered their hands. All right, India.
This delegate would like to propose a motion to start the debate. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, under the chair's discretion, this motion passes. We will now be receiving points of motions. If you have any points of motions, please raise your hand. Still on the topic of Marvel and DC, by the way. Yes, Norway.
The MCU heroes took 3 2-hour-long movies. Do you think the DC heroes will be able to beat a purple guy with Infinity Stones?
Sorry, Delegate. We are now open for any points or motions.
Yeah, will the DC heroes be able to beat Thanos?
Can you rephrase that to like a statement and not a question? That's how
the DC heroes will not beat Thanos.
All right. For how many minutes?
10 minutes would be enough.
With how many minutes for each individual speaking time?
1 minute 30 seconds.
So 10, that will not be possible because we can.
Then 60 minutes would be fine too. 60 seconds. 60
All right,
seconds.
so 10 to 1. Crystal, can you please delete or clear the motion proposed by the delegate of India?
Yeah, just did.
All right, thank you. All right, delegate of Austria.
So, I I believe that DC heroes are superior to Marvel.
Delegate of Austria, we are now open for any points or motions, so please state your motion.
I do believe that heroes from DC are far better than.
Sorry, delegate.
Yeah.
It is for motion, so you are supposed to propose any topic that you would like to talk about on Marvel and DC, a specific topic to be debated upon. I see a point of parliamentary inquiry. Yes, delegate of India.
Chair, thank you, Chair. Chair, why did the open debate go after the GSL? The delegate of India believes that the open debate should be before the GSL.
All right. So in some cases, the open debate starts before the points or motions, solely due to because any debates will be conducted on the moderate caucus or moderate caucus. So the general speakers list is actually a introduction or speech, I guess, or any type of speech in your MUN. So you can talk about anything that you want, but it is basically not the actual debate. If that answers your question, delegate. Does that answer your question, delegate? Delegate of India. All right, I will take that as a yes. Okay, UK.
The delegate of the UK would like to propose a moderated caucus about the description and further details about heroes for both Marvel and DC at a time of 1 minute per delegate.
How many minutes in total, delegate?
10.
All right, 10 to 1. Description of further. Can you repeat the motion?
Descriptions of heroes.
Okay, description of heroes. 10 to 1, that is in order. Thank you, delegate. Next, I will be taking a motion from the delegate of Albania.
The delegate of Albania would like to raise a motion on parameters on defining a true superhero both on Marvel and DC. 15 to 1. Is that in order, Chair?
Yes, that is in order, delegate.
Thank you, Chair.
All right, thank you. Based on the most disruptive motion, we will now vote upon the motion proposed by the delegate of Albania for 15 to 1 regarding parameters of defining a true superhero. Those of you in favor of this motion, please wait. Before that, please lower your hands. Yes, thank you. Now we will be voting upon the motion proposed by the delegate of Albania for 15 to 1. For those of you in favor of this motion, please raise your hand. Please remember that every delegate has to vote yes or no on any procedural matters. And it is required 19 votes of yeses to pass the motion. For those of you who are in favor of this motion, please raise your hand. All right, we now have 19 votes of yes. This motion passes. The delegate of Albania, would you like to speak first or last?
This delegate would like to speak last. Thank you, Chair.
All right, thank you. So before the delegate of Albania, we have 14 speakers. For those of you, please delegates, please lower your hands first. All right, for those of you who wishes to speak upon this motion, please raise your hand. We have the delegate of UK, Ginny, Switzerland, India, Indonesia, Austria, New Zealand, Pakistan. Any other delegates who would like to speak on this motion? We have 6 more slots, I believe. Nope. All right, that will be all for now. And then we will add Albania on the last. Okay. We will begin with the delegate of the United Kingdom. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. The delegate of the UK believes that the true qualities of a hero is a person or something that saves something. In this case, it would be humanity. So what qualities would they possess? Some of the qualities that they might have to possess may include kindness or maybe superpowers. Superpowers could allow them to do things that no other person could. And with that, with power comes responsibility. And that's why talents or superpowers should not go to waste. Thank you, Chair.
All right, thank you, delegate. Oh yeah, for the moderate caucus, you don't need to yield your time. So that is just a disclaimer. Next to speak is the delegate of Genie. The floor is yours.
A superhero is someone who saves others from being in danger. The delegate of Guinea firmly believes that a superhero is somebody who saves somebody from physical pain or injuries, death, embarrassment, or someone that has powers. They save humanity or a nation and sometimes even wear a cool costume.
Is that all, delegate?
Yeah, I didn't really do much.
All right, thank you, delegate. Next to speak is the delegate of Switzerland.
The delegate of Switzerland firmly believes that something a true superhero is guaranteed to have is loyalty to do the right thing. A true superhero is not defined by their abilities or powers. It is their motives that defines if they really are a superhero or not. The delegate of Switzerland believes anyone can be a hero if they have the right motives and if they want to do the right thing.
All right, thank you, delegate. Next to speak is the delegate of India.
Thank you, Chair. After evaluating previously from the first general speakers list, it has been shown that most countries deem this topic as unnecessary. The delegate of India believes too that this topic is fairly unnecessary to be discussed in a United Nations Council. We must be saving lives of others and problems, not talking about fiction movies. Although we completely understand the concerns of some delegates, the countries that do not pay concern towards this topic outnumbers those who do. This is why the delegate would like to previously emphasize, like in the delegate's previous statement, we must focus on discussing on the most controversial and popular topic currently, and we must make this our first agenda. D. Super idol at Sharon. Domain again. Thank you, Chair.
All right, thank you, delegate. I'm not sure what that is, but thank you. All right, before I move on to the delegate of Indonesia, we still have like 7. Yeah, 7. Wait, no, 6 more slots. For any of you who would like to speak upon this motion. If you have already spoken in this motion, you are welcome to speak twice before the delegate of Albania, of course. All right, Denmark. Yep. All right, that's perfect. Any other delegate who wishes to speak upon this motion? We still have 5 more slots. All right, that will be all for now. Delegate of Indonesia, the floor is yours.
Chair, the delegate of Indonesia firmly believes that a hero's quality isn't defined by its powers, religion, race, or ethnicity. No, it's defined by its characteristics such as willing to make a change, having a positive impact for others, and being an inspiration. And most of all, leaving a legacy that future generations can look up to, can feel inspired to.
Thank you, delegate. Next to speak is the delegate of Australia. The floor is yours.
The delegation of Austria firmly believes that a true superhero does not need superpowers or any powers in general. They could be a hero, a true superhero, by saving someone physically, mentally, or any sort of actions of saving. Thank you.
All right, thank you, delegate. Delegate of New Zealand.
Chairman and distinguished delegates, thank you for the floor. The motion proposed by the delegate of Albania is very interesting. What are the parameters of defining a superhero? And only someone who is born or superpowers or extraordinary abilities, but rather someone who works hard for their abilities and utilizes them for the greater good. For example, superheroes who choose to save the world instead of themselves, and maybe at the risk of their own lives or personal interests. Superheroes can save humanity, a nation, or even the world from any kind of pain and suffering, not for a selfish reason, but for a selfless one. In the superheroes world, these qualities can certainly inspire other people to look up to them or maybe follow in their footsteps. But even for a fictional superhero in the real world, this can inspire real people to work hard and do good for the betterment of their surroundings and even the world. Thank you.
Thank you, delegate. Before I move on, I see a point of personal privilege by the delegate of UK. Please state your point.
The delegate of UK will like to request to go get a glass of water.
Oh yeah, feel free to do so. You don't need to raise a point for that. If you guys want to go to the toilet or go grab your coffee or get a glass of water, feel free to do so. All right, thank you, delegate. Next to speak is the delegate of Pakistan.
Thank you, Chair. A hero is usually considered someone with great superpower, great physical powers, but the delegate of Pakistan disagrees. A hero is classified as someone who is selfless. Their basis of doing things, their motives stems from kindness, from caring from other people. And a hero will not just be Superman. A hero can be your own parents, can be teachers, someone who has saved you throughout your life. A hero is someone who motivates you, makes you want to live another day, makes you be the person you are now. It's not defined from your physical qualities, from your superpowers. It is defined from kindness. Thank you, Chair.
All right, thank you, delegate of Pakistan. We have 5 more slots, so before moving on to the delegate of Denmark, any of you would like to speak upon this motion, please raise your hand. If you have already spoken, you are welcome to speak twice. All right, Norway. We'll be going before the delegate of Albania. Therefore, we have 4 more slots, I believe. Any of you who would like to speak upon this motion? All right, Pakistan. We have slots for 3 more speakers. Philippines, Austria, and we have 1 more slot. 1 more delegate. Anyone? All right, Somalia. Perfect. Thank you, delegate. that will be all for this moderated caucus. Next to speak is the delegate of Denmark. The floor is yours.
Firstly, I would like to send my appreciation to everyone for acknowledging my turn to discuss. A real superhero for the delegate of Denmark and my country is someone who would risk their lives to save others' lives without mentioning superiority. They would also give and have a kind heart, influence other people and younger generations to look up to them according to what's right. It doesn't mean they need to have supernatural powers or super strength. They have to overcome their fears to help others, and this can be anyone, anywhere. Whether they also need to have a selfless and caring motive that doesn't give up. Thank you, Chair. That's all.
All right, thank you, delegate. Next to speak is the delegate of Norway. The floor is yours.
Superheroes, also known as our childhood dream career. A superhero, especially in pop culture, is someone with supernatural powers unlike anyone else. They save the day every day and seem to have fans blowing their hair every single fight. Superheroes are the people who are selfless. They are ordinary people whose characters seem simply super. They are people who you look up to, those who save you from others or even from yourself. Superheroes aren't based off their strength, their supernatural powers, their looks. Superheroes are those whose character wants and tries their best to reach the greater good for others. Thank you.
Thank you, delegate. Next to speak is the delegate of Pakistan. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. As said before, a hero isn't based or a hero does not need physical qualities, superpower, mind-blowing powers to save the world. In fact, heroes includes teachers, parents, professors, and people in the healthcare because they are the ones that are saving the world. They want to make a world a better place. In the COVID-19 pandemic, our heroes are the medical workers as they are always striving, putting their lives on the lines for the life of people, to protect the life of people. Children are always saying that, oh, heroes are based on supernatural qualities. But no, that is wrong. Superheroes are based on people who want to save the world, has the initiative to save the world, and are selfless, which put others before themselves. And they're ready to act when others are not acting. And they volunteer every time, and they thank you.
All right, thank you, delegate. Your time has elapsed. Next to speak is the delegate of Philippines. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. The delegate of Philippines believe that true superhero is defined by their willingness of sacrificing rather than selfish ego, to put people first rather than themselves. And the delegate of Philippines believes that selflessness and character they provide to save other people verbally or physically is an important aspect as to define a true superhero. It does not have to be a physical superpower or anything revolves around. And we would like to focus on their character rather than their power. Thank you.
Thank you, delegate. Next to speak is the delegate of Austria. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. Aside from my opinion about what a true superhero is, I do believe there is no such thing as a true superhero. Everyone could be a superhero regardless. And to be a true superhero, you don't need precise training, or you don't need a long-term training or something. A little action could make you a true superhero. A small action, little by little, it could make your character as a true superhero, and you don't need any recognition from people. And that is what a true superhero is. They work behind, not showing their face in public. Thank you.
Thank you, delegate. Next to speak is the delegate of Somalia. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. The delegate of Somalia thinks that a superhero is characterized as a person that has good intentions, is selfless, and caring towards others, although superheroes are fiction, since they are super and they should have superpowers. That's why they're called superheroes. Meanwhile, heroes in general don't need superpowers and are found in our daily lives, such as maybe your teachers or your parents. The delegate of Somalia would also like to point out that superheroes or heroes are not picture perfect, and others should realize that they have their own struggles. Although they have these struggles, heroes can be anyone as long as they have good intentions towards the community. Thank you.
Thank you, delegate. Next to speak, last but not least, is the delegate of Albania. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. In this modern era, the cinematic universe has produced more and more superheroes characters. Since generations ago, superheroes are fictional figures that people would like to be one day. However, not all superheroes should be set as a role model realistically in the status quo. This delegate agrees with the delegate of Switzerland and the previous delegates that a superhero must have the right motives to do the right thing, not just to be recognized by the public. However, the delegate of Albania wants to emphasize the importance of realistic conditions. In the future, this world may realistically have these variations of superheroes as technologies improve day by day. But for now, we have to think realistically. Albania would like to raise the parameter of defining a true superhero as humanity. If these superheroes are showing murder, abuse, etc., this doesn't define a true superhero. We should take this seriously as an evaluation of people in watching Marvel or DC productions, such as films and series. Thank you.
All right, thank you, delegate. Your time has elapsed. Now, unfortunately, that's all we have the time for. So we have to end our committee session 0, but it has been fun. But before we end it, can any one of you propose a motion to suspend the debate? Yes, delegate of India.
The delegate of India would like to propose a motion to end this debate. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, delegate. Under the chair's discretion, that is the motion passes. All right, thank you, delegate, for participating in our committee session 0. I hope you guys get the gist of what an MUN is and how we will conduct the MUN for these next 2 days. I believe we have Chair Angela here now with us. Chair Angela, can you please say hi?
Hi everyone. I'm sorry I joined late because I have a class to attend to. I hope that Sharon and Crystal have elaborated and explained more on the Model UN, and I hope you guys can perform a great Model UN on the next committee session. So don't be nervous. I know that a lot of you here are the first timers, but just relax and enjoy. I guess that's all. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Chair Angela. Yeah, actually, you guys managed to do well in the committee session 0. So I hope that it will eventually help you in this following 2 days and 5 committee sessions, I believe. So a few announcement from the committee. We have a gossip box, I believe. Committee. Is any of the committee here?
Yes. I'll send the link in the chat. So feel free for the delegates who want to spill some tea or maybe wants to spice up the MUN a bit. Go ahead. We're gonna reveal it at the end. Maybe today we can request it, or maybe tomorrow.
Yeah. So we will have a gossip box. So feel free to spill any tea in the gossip box. We will maybe read it later today or maybe tomorrow. I'm not sure, but we will read it some point on. Yeah, so for now, you guys will now have a break for 60 minutes. We will begin our first official committee session in 12:15 GMT plus 7, I believe. Yes, so we will now have a break. Enjoy your lunch. Please do have your lunch. If not, you guys will be hungry for the first committee session, and that is not good. All right, so yeah, enjoy your break, enjoy your lunch. I will see you guys in the next hour. Thank you, everyone.